Hey you guys, what's going on everyone? Welcome to the channel. My name is Kef. Welcome back to my tribe. I hope you guys are having a great day. So I know I've been gone for a little while, y'all. I'm back a little bit, and the channel has changed. As you can see, the name is now Surgical Tech Careers, and that was because I needed to kind of do more branding just to keep everything a little more streamlined across the board. And if you want to get to know me a little bit more outside of Surgical Tech, you guys follow me on Instagram. I have other YouTube channels, so if you go to kiafa.com, you'll see my link tree where you can follow me, see what I have going on. But today I wanted to talk about one thing that I feel surgical techs need in their life, and it doesn't matter if you are considering being a surgical tech, if you are already a surgical tech, or if you used to scrub and you decide that you don't want to scrub anymore. This video is going to be for you, so please stay tuned. Okay, you guys, so the first thing, or the one thing that I would think that we all need, and it sounds so simple when what I'm about to say, but I'm just going to tell you guys, a plan. Come up with a career plan. It's going to be the easiest thing that's going to keep you on track, and that's going to help you succeed as a surgical tech. Tech career plan will look something like this. It will be where you, if you aren't in school or if you aren't a surgical tech already, then you're going to go find the schools that are going to be closer to you, or if you don't want a school that's closer to you, you're going to find a surgical tech program that fits what you need in your life. So whether it's the distance or the price, or when you can get in or anything like that, you have to sit down and figure these things out. You also need to be considering how much money are you willing to pay for this program, and how are you going to pay for the program. Are you going to take a student loan out, or are you going to pay cash? And if you're going to pay cash, will you be working while you're in school, or are you going to borrow the money from your family members and then pay them back? And that you need to come up with before you even think about going to surgical tech school, so you can have an idea. It's going to cost me $20,000. We're just going to use these numbers. It's going to cost me $20,000. It's going to take me this amount of time to pay it back. Now that you've already went to surgical tech school, you already either have student loan debt or not, the next phase in your surgical tech career is going to be the 2 to 5 year phase, I would say. Once you've establish your first year as a surgical tech, the second year, I feel like you should be considering going traveling, because as a travel surgical tech, then you're going to be making more money. And at this point, you can do things a little bit faster because you'll have more money to do it. So if you are in debt, then you can take the money that you're receiving as a travel surgical tech and apply it to the debt, but not just paying off debt in this phase. You will also be investing in this phase. What I would suggest you do is come up with a budget, and the budget could look something very similar to this, where you take half of your income and you live off that. That's your monthly expenses. 20% of it will go to debt, and 30% can go to investing. Now, you can play with those numbers however you want to, but I'm just giving you a general idea of what would help you move forward successfully as a surgical tech, and make sure that when you're done with being a surgical tech, that you have something to show for it. If you're going to be traveling, you definitely need to have some type of retirement plan set up, because you're not going to get a pension. And even if you do have a 401k, if you don't stay at the facility long enough, you will not get the match. So I don't really stick with one specific travel agency. When I was traveling, when I was working at hospitals, I didn't stay at one particular hospital. I would take my experience and I would go somewhere else once I got the experience that I needed. Now, you don't have to do this. You can stay at the facility that you want, as long as you feel comfortable with it. But I would say when you get experience that you need and you go to another facility, you make more money. So that's why I was doing it. It was all money. It wasn't no loyalty that was involved with the situation. I was just about the money, so I could start doing the things that I wanted to do with my day. Once you start looking at your retirement plan, or at least an exit strategy, this would be the second or the third phase, of your surgical tech career. And around this phase, you have already been, this is about the 5 to 10 to 15 year mark, you've already hopefully been investing in some type of interest growing investment, whether it's going to be the stock market, whether it's real estate, whether it's business. It doesn't matter. You need to be investing in something, and you also need to be working on multiple streams of income. So if you are like me, multiple streams of income was way more appealing to me. And so I went into business because I had enough money to start investing in myself, to start home businesses, and I didn't have enough money at the time to invest in real estate. So it was a higher buy-in at real estate than it was to me to start learning different online businesses or different businesses that I could do from my home. You may or may not know this about me, but I have a studio here and I've been doing hair for years. And what being in business as a cosmetologist taught me, it gave me other skills that I could apply to different businesses. So let's just say you start a business and the business doesn't go well. That's fine. You're still going to learn something that you can apply to the next business or to the next project that you're creating. Don't ever just start one thing and just because that thing didn't go the way that you expected it to, then you just stop. You take what you learn and you apply it to the next project or to the next phase in your life. So now if you are investing and you have been investing into the stock market, or you invested into real estate, or you've invested into some type of business, then if your surgical tech career doesn't go as planned, or you decide after a couple years that, okay, I don't want to do this anymore, now you have options. I knew that school was not something that I preferred for myself. I knew that I could make more money as an entrepreneur faster than it would take for me to do it if I was to go the traditional route, where it would be college, and for surgical techs, the next step, the next career step would be nursing or some type of physician assistant or something like that. And I just didn't want to go be a nurse or go to nursing school and then have to start at the bottom of being a nurse in my 40s. So I looked at it like, okay, well, what skills do I have that I can take and, create some type of business with and make the same amount of money that I would make if I was going to be a nurse. And it really doesn't matter what the business is, because if you take 3 to 5 years to grow the business, if it's something that is valuable, you will make more than $100,000 if you work the business like you work a job. So I already knew that. My goal was to make more than $100,000, obviously, but I knew that if I could create something on my own that would at least make $100,000, then I would be, close to what a nurse would make here in Florida, her first, second year as a nurse. You invest into a business, then you're going to get a bigger return, but it might take a little bit longer and a little more work. Now, let's just say you don't want to start a business. Maybe you're more knowledgeable in real estate, then do that. And if you're not knowledgeable in real estate, maybe the stock market may be something that you could look into. I myself invest in the stock market, and the stock market is a very passive way to invest, because you just buy stocks that and just let the money grow. That's really all it boils down to. You get the money in your account and you stay diversified. You definitely don't just buy one thing. Like, you don't just buy Amazon, or you don't just buy into the medical field when it's on the stock market. You have to diversify just in case one sector drops. Then you're not like heavy losing in that area because you have multiple, different shares in different industries. So one way that you could do this without having to think about it is investing into ETFs like VOO, which is the Vanguard S&P 500. I speak about this all the time. If you just take your money and put it in there and just leave it in there long term, you will gain you will have capital gains, and maybe in 20 or 30 years, whenever you need the money, it'll be available to you. Now, I wouldn't just say do stock market, because that limits you just to the stock market. I would say, again, diversify. So start with a little bit in the stock market. Start with a small at-home business. Maybe get you a little rental property, or if you don't have a rental property, maybe you can rent a room out, in your house and get into real estate that way. I'm just saying, have more than one thing going for yourself so that you're not vulnerable to one sector over another, and then something happens and then you lose the money. So stay diversified across the board. But definitely having you an at-home business is also something that I am a total advocate for, because if you got a business at home, or if you got your own thing going on, if something happens to your surgical tech career, then you're not vulnerable to having one stream of income. You got multiple streams of income, or at least another stream of income, another source of income. If you don't have multiple streams of income, then sometimes if somebody say something to you that you don't like, you might have to take it because you don't have no other way to pay your bills or make sure your family is fed. Definitely wouldn't allow myself to be that vulnerable when it comes down to my only source of income being a career. Like, you definitely need something outside of just being a surgical tech. Another reason I would suggest having an at-home business comes down to the tax benefits that comes with being an entrepreneur and being a small business. You get to write off a portion of your housing expenses, a portion of your utilities, your phone, your insurance, your car note, like all those things get a tax deductible or a tax break when you're at home, when it's a home business. So, and then there's more than what I'm naming, but if you just think about the benefit in that alone, that's going to lower your yearly expenses. So that's another way, I guess you can say, to save money is to have an at-home business. But you can also increase your income by having an at-home business. I would say take a hobby that you have and turn that hobby into a at-home business, because at least it'll be something that you like. But all of this requires you to sit down and create a plan. And if you sit down and create a plan for about 10 years, then you don't have to do 10. You could do a 5-year plan. But if you do a long-term plan, then you will have something to keep you on track and keep you focused. So you could say around 2 to 3 years, I should be here. I should be working on paying down my debt, and I should be definitely investing in something. Around 3 to 5 years, or more, you can be looking at it like, okay, at this point, I should have most of my debt paid off, and I should be investing in real estate, the stock market, or business. And that will create you a retirement plan. So you can have, how I see things is I have multiple businesses, and each business has an objective. One business may be my retirement plan. Another business may be my son's college fund. Another business may be me getting ready to have a farm, because that's something that I'm working on. So look at like each project, especially if it's going to be like a money-making project. Each project should have an objective, and the objective is to pay for something. So even like with YouTube, we're having multiple YouTube channels. You can take one YouTube channel and say, okay, this YouTube channel is just going to pay my cell phone bill, or this like with, I have a hair business that I do at home, so that income pays, we'll say, my car expenses, whether it's my car note, my car maintenance, my car insurance, anything that goes with my car comes from my hair business. So once you start looking at it like that, then you would be in a better position to, you know, be successful as a surgical tech. So if you're a surgical tech, like for me, how I saw surgical tech funded the business projects that I wanted to do. That was the whole purpose of me. It gave me enough money to live off of a reasonable, like to live reasonably. It wasn't a whole bunch of money, but I could still live reasonably and invest. Now, I could have went and blew more money on my monthly expenses had I not been investing, but had I not been investing, then I wouldn't be at the position that I am in today, where today is Friday. I've had a great day. Me and my dog has went for walks. I was considering going to the beach, but I have other things that I need to do. So I have created a lifestyle that I wanted. And the only way that I was able to do that was to have invested in myself at the front end and took, I wasn't able to probably like ball out, or I wasn't able to, you know, splurge the way that a lot of people would have with the amount of money that I had at the time, but it paid off on the back end. So up front, yeah, I had to like cut corners and rob Peter to pay Paul. But later on, I'm able to do different things. I'm able to homeschool my son. I'm able to go on do different things in my life that I enjoy doing. So I would advise you to, you know, just start investing in yourself as soon as possible, whether it's going to be investing. And you don't have to invest like just physical things, like I was just saying, like the stock market and real estate and business. You can invest in yourself by just learning about things. So I started with like books. I would do audio books, and I have some paperback books here, like this one right now I'm reading, and this is a financial, let me step back, maybe I can see it's got a glare on it, but Becoming a Banker. So buying books, you guys, is also a way of investing in yourself, buying them and reading them, because then once you have the information, you'll start implementing it, you know, a little bit at a time. You may not be over the top, but you would definitely start implementing the things that you learn. And at that point, you will be, you know, more valuable to the people around you and your family. So that is a way of investing. That's a way that we all should be investing. And I know once you are in like the surgical tech career, especially out of school, you don't have anybody that's telling you, okay, read these books, read that book, learn this, invest like this, or move like that. So that's why I'm making these videos, for you guys to understand how it looks on the back end. Because I've been a surgical tech since 2006, and at the beginning I had to figure out a lot of this on my own. I didn't really have any financial education to the point where I knew how to invest, what to invest in. You know, I didn't know any of that stuff. It took me to learn and read up on these things, and now I'm in a position where I can implement the things that I've learned. So I just wanted to share that with you guys. But the biggest key to all of this, for you to cut out some of the stuff that I had to go through, is to sit down and create a plan. Don't have to be detailed. It don't have to be like everything to the T. Just have an idea. Just give yourself a general plan, and then break that plan down. Like if you do a 1 to 3 year plan, break that plan down to what it looks like every, you know, year, or every month, or every week, or every day. Like, do it like that. And then by the time you're 5 or 10 years in, you'll be well past where I was at 5 to 10 years in, because I didn't have a plan. I was just out here like, you know, luckily it all worked out. But had I had a plan, I wouldn't have needed luck or, you know, anything like that. I would have had like some type of structure to keep me focused. And once you're focused, a lot of the distractions fall to the side, especially when it's a money situation where you're talking about being focused financially and you want to be successful. And what we know about surgical tech is that it's going to take, you're going to be in a career for about 5 to 10 years, we'll say. And those 5 to 10 years, your body is going to start being affected by standing long periods of time and being hunched over and bent over and pulling on patients. So you don't want to keep putting that type of strain on your body. So come up with a plan so you can come in the career, make the most out of the career, and exit on a high note and be successful on the back end. You can definitely become a millionaire if you sit down. You can have multi-millions if you sit down and create a plan around a career, a skill that is going to give you more than the average income. It's in the income for surgical techs is still going up, especially after 2020. So now the career, you're getting more money. You should be able to live off of half of that and invest the other half. And if you got debt and student loans and things like that, then you pay that off with the other 20%, or you invest 30% and you pay your debt off with 20%. And do that. So when you are at 5 to 10 years, you can decide for yourself, do I want to continue down this path, or do I want to just go full time? You know, at that point, you should have multiple streams of income coming in. So then you can be an entrepreneur if that's something you want. Let's just say you don't want to be an entrepreneur and you just want to keep going down the path of working as a medical professional. That's great, but it'll be your choice. It won't be something that you're forced into doing. If you get forced into staying as a surgical tech or forced into any field, it takes the joy out of it. And so I would advise you to create other streams of income so you can have the flexibility to move how you want to, and to have your own, you know, peace of mind at the end of the day. Okay, you guys, so this video is way longer than what I expected it to be, but I hope it helped you. I hope you understand exactly where I'm coming from, why I'm like stressing. Create a plan. Please create a plan, you guys, so it will make your career go so much more smoother. You will be so much more successful. You will have way more confidence in the OR because you'll be making money coming from different places. You won't be so, you know, worried about losing your job, which if you're a surgical tech, you shouldn't be worried about losing your job, because it's going to be plenty of other people that's going to hire you, because there's going to always be a shortage of surgical techs. There's always a shortage of medical professionals. So don't be scared of losing your job, but don't just be hopping from job to job and not have no real structure or no real plan on what you're doing. So you just moving around just to get more money, but you still living, you know, you blowing money. You're not really taking the time to invest into yourself and things like that. That's just going to create you being in a career even longer and not being as successful as you could be had you took the time out to really understand how money works, create a plan, and to know what, you know, when you're going to move to the next section in your life, into your career, excuse me, and how surgical tech plays a role in that. Just don't be out here, like I say, just willy-nilly, you know, just going through life and like, oh, I'll figure it out later, because before you know it, later will be here and you'll be 20 years older and your body's going to be hurting, but you're not going to be making, you know, the type of money that you need. So you're going to have to keep working and you get stuck in the rat race. So that's all I got for you guys. I'll see you on the next video. Thank you for watching, you guys. Bye.